last fight.
Samuel Jackson is back, as Nick Fury returns to the Marvel franchise in the new series Secret Invasion on Disney+. What was Fury up to since we last saw him? How has the blip impacted him? And what is Secret Invasion all about?
Trust no one.
Hi there, it's Micha. Join me for this review video to find out more. The show begins with former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Prescott sharing his theory about Skrulls being behind most global terrorist activity in a plot to take over Earth, just to find out that his contact, whom he believed to be Everett Ross, is one of the shape-shifting adversaries, who shoots him for his discovery. The killer is then taken out in front of Maria Hill by Talos, an ally of Nick Fury, which brings the seasoned hero back to Earth for the first time in years, after using his work to build Saber, a defense station in space, as an excuse to not deal with the aftermath of the blip. At least that is what Maria accuses him of, as she felt abandoned.
You gonna move?
I haven't decided.
Your lack of contact over the past few years sent a pretty clear message.
If I remember correctly, you called me.
Upon Talos's request.
Meaning?
You're not ready for this, Fury. You were never the same after the blip. So check your footing. Otherwise, someone's gonna get hurt.
While Fury was gone, Talos was ousted by his kin, who stopped believing Nick Fury's promise of finding them a new home, which made them rally behind Gravik, also a former friend of Fury, who established a closed community for his people and a base of operation in a radioactive area in Russia, as Skrulls are resistant against the radiation. Among Gravik's people we meet Gaia, who turns out to be Talos's estranged daughter, who didn't even know her mother passed away. As her death, according to Talos, was due to Gravik and his actions, it gives Gaia pause and she reveals a plan about bombing a public space in Moscow. However, her intel turned out to be inaccurate, so our three heroes can't prevent the attack, and in the ensuing panic, Gravik, looking like Fury, shoots Maria, who Fury and Talos have to leave behind to flee the scene. It was a solid start into the new story, but also not overwhelming. There are really some cool aspects, like having Richard Dormer's captivating voice kicking us off.
What if the ones closest to us, the ones we've trusted our whole lives, were someone else entirely?
One can clearly hear why he starred in so many BBC radio plays, but I guess most of us will know him from Game of Thrones, where he played the more than once resurrected Beric Dondarrion.
Thoros, how many times have you brought me back?
It's the Lord of Light brings you back.
The entire cast is promising, with Emilia Clarke, another Game of Thrones alumnus, playing Gaia, Olivia Colman as an MI6 agent that may be an ally or obstacle going forward, Dermot Mulroney as the President of the United States, Don Cheadle aka War Machine as the President's right hand, and you have an appearance of Martin Freeman, though in a shape-shifted capacity. And of course Sam Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn reprises their roles. I have to admit though that I sometimes had to switch on the subtitles to understand what the hell Mendelsohn was saying.
She brought the sage with her wherever she went, and it's changed since she planted it. It's adapted to the planet.
And I'm curious if and how they address why Nick hasn't found them a new home yet. I mean, it has been 30 or 40 years, and he had the help of Carol Danvers. I almost said Cara Danvers. Sometimes when Marvel and DC steal from each other, they should be at least a little bit more creative. Even the last name spelling is the same. But back to business. I loved the idea of a group not affected by radioactivity utilizing a territory that otherwise would likely remain abandoned for centuries. And the main storyline has a lot of potential, but I'm a bit worried about the overall depressive atmosphere. Maybe that is a good thing and creates something new, as Marvel is not really known for going down that route. Well, except for Infinity War. Otherwise, this is more a thing usually done by DC. Wonder Vision. Also kinda depressive. But again, it can still be great. Civil War? Wakanda Forever? Moon Knight? Well, we'll see. One thing that spoiled it for me though was the totally predictable demise of Maria Hill.
I'm excited for them to see the end of the first episode is pretty intense.
Even though in theory she could still survive. However, she will likely be gone for good, or at least incapacitated, because this time, for some reason, they placed the titles including the cast at the start of the episode, which is rarely seen in Marvel shows on Disney+, where they are mainly appearing at the end. It was immediately apparent that Kobe Smulders was not listed in the main cast, and there is no reason why she would leave, except for her being killed off. With that in mind, it wasn't a surprise at all, which severely lessened the emotional impact I would have otherwise experienced. On top of that, they teased a reconciliation between the estranged friends, which I was looking forward to, and to learn more about the two of them. But this door is now closed, which makes that even more of a letdown. By the way, Richard Dormer, aka Agent Prescott, is listed in the main credits, so I guess he survived being shot? Or they bring him back in a shape-shifted form, which I cannot really see making sense to the plot at all, but we will find out soon. With that being said, let's get to the rating. But before we go there, let me ask you to like and share this video if you enjoyed it so far, and if you aren't a subscriber yet, maybe consider to change that. By also hitting the notification bell, you will get a heads up for most of my new videos. Now for the rating. Like mentioned before, the pilot sets up things solidly, but I was not jumping up and down. The cast may help over some plot issues, should they occur, but the first episode on its own I will score with 7 out of 10 points. It was good, but has room to breathe and to develop, hopefully in a good way. I hope there was no issue like with previous shows like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which apparently was re-edited and rewritten to avoid a global pandemic that was going on there. For obvious reasons, but to a terrible mess of an outcome. As Secret Invasion finished filming in April 2022 and a lot of the story takes place in Russia, there may have been some last-minute tweaks due to their invasion of Ukraine in February. If that has a similar impact on the show remains to be seen. What about you? Did you enjoy the start of this new show? Were you surprised by Maria's fate? Are you psyched about the next episode, or also more reserved? Whatever you like to share, let me know in the comments. So much for now, see you next time, and thanks for watching. Just to find out that his contact, whom he believed to be Everett Scott, Great Scott! Or at least being incapacitated, which apparently was re-edited and rewritten, would likely remain abandoned for centuries. Centuries.